The lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Just on the topic of lazy, you'd remember 4 years ago, there was a piece that SBS Viceland did on Australian hip-hop. And in that, it was a controversial piece, and Lazy Grey was one of the dudes that, people were saying that the documentary maker threw Lazy under the bus, and there was a big uproar. Now, do you recall when you first saw that piece and what your initial thoughts were on that?
Yeah, dude. I saw it just prior. I was going to the UK. I was going to the UK with my wife at the time, with my wife. And I saw it just prior. And then when I landed in the UK, I'd seen the furor of what, not the furor, but of what was going on. I don't think it was really like you would consider it a furor at that point. But, he was kind of embroiled in it. Dude, I was invited to the Have a Beer shoot, I think we're in the Have a Beer video, but we were invited to the shoot at Kangaroo Point, when they shot that video, Nick Grace, and I really think Lay's copped it over that, man. That was poorly researched. Not that I'm a journalist, man, but I'm just trying to pick my words. I suppose there was a what would you say? There was a backlash towards those Australianisms at the time, so that ochre culture, people started viewing it as being like whitewashing black history in this country, in some capacity, when that's the furthest thing from the truth, man. That Have a Beer era and that beers, bongs and barbecues era was a scene finding its voice, man. That's all it was, we can't rap like they do in Queensbridge. We can't rap like they do in Compton. We don't have those experiences, but we're all very conscious of, the people that came before us and, all that kind of thing. And we're all immensely conscious of race and discrimination and all that kind of thing, man. There's just no time for it, and Lazy, dude, Lazy of all people, man, Lazy's a gentleman, man. Lazy's a very gentle dude, very quiet spoken. Like I said earlier, man, just trying to get him on the podcast. I want to talk, man. And he does not want to be thrust into the fucking spotlight like that, that's not him. And all he's ever done is just make music. And beyond making music, he's the father of a culture in this country. He's one of the forefathers of a culture. And that's what they missed there, because what they missed was that's a scene in its infancy. We had the barbecue song by Mass MC. We have a Beer. We had people like Brad and Trem and others and Bias and all that. Bias was writing songs about smoking weed. Brad and Trem had numerous beer references, getting drunk. I grab a slab of the tinnies, pack of blue winnies, blah blah. Man, that was the shit. That was what that shit was. And Ken Oath, he had Kingswood Country, lined up. And Kingswood Country, if anyone goes back in the history books, is probably one of the most politically incorrect Australian sitcoms of all time. Ted Bullpit, it was fucking. You watch it today, you're just like, man, that shit wouldn't fly today. That shit wouldn't fly, So it's, I think to link it to race and. Making there was an innuendo that, I don't know, there's some sort of race. I can't even distinctly recall, so I don't really want to speak on it. Maybe you remember better, but yeah, it was. I know it was a heavy time for Lays. It was definitely a heavy time for Lays, and I remember, man, I just landed in the UK, and I was like, man, I'm putting a post up for Lays. This is fucking not right. It's not right, man. It's not right. He is the father of everything we do in this country, man. And he's the furthest thing from fucking racist. Holy shit, man. The dude marches. The dude fucking goes to marches and all that sort of shit. Man, he's an activist, if anything. He's definitely a person of strong opinion. Has his opinions on whatever, even COVID and all that kind of shit today. But man, yeah, it's what they were labeling him and branding him in the media, and as an aside, Ken Oath, I don't think Eric really copped it as much. It was really Lazy that they sort of targeted in on. But, I think even Earthboy came out after the fact and said, man, that was a bit of a hack job. You know, like Earthboy was in there talking about something, and he's like, if I had have seen that they, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know exactly what he said, but I think I do recall at the time him saying, had I have known that they were going to sort of throw Lazy under the bus like that, he would have been less inclined to be involved.
When you've seen the piece, you're overseas when you've caught wind of this, but did you, at least at some point, if not straight away, have a chat to Lazy, and how did he feel about it when you guys had a chat about it?
Oh, dude, I remember, man. I remember Lazy telling me, he's like, every time, he said every time he was going to his phone, like if he went into social media, man, there's fucking, it's kind of like, what he told me about that then kind of reminded me of what we kind of went through briefly with that RAF incident, not the RAF incident, not even it was an incident, like just with RAF's episode, like it kind of felt like that, because he'd be going to his phone and he goes, man, I just wish it would fucking stop. Like even people coming out in support of him, he was just like, dude, like, just fuck this shit. He'd go to his phone, there's 100 comments, and I remember him saying it was good for one thing, he got a shitload of fucking new followers out of it or something like that, like that's what sort of came out of the social media, but if there was any positive, but I don't distinctly recall the conversation that we had, but yeah, I remember it just being a lot. It was a lot for him to deal with, man, and I think he saw those that came out in support of him. I think he was aware, it was like, man, there's a lot of support for him. There was, this dude had done whatever, and I remember going to that dude's page and seeing his Instagram profile, and people were commenting, people were, writing, you don't go at Lazy like this, I think I even fucking went on there and left a comment, I went on there and left a comment, so it was, yeah, it was what it was, man. I was a fucking, I've even had my troll moments, so, in the early days, before I even knew what that was, But yeah, it was definitely a stressful time for him, I can say that much, I do recall that, yeah. When we came back, we were there for 2 weeks, and I came back and I was like, fuck, dude, what was all that about, Because I'd wake up and I'd just see the social media and I'd see how his shit is blowing up. And then I think he posted something. I think, he had a barbecue in the backyard or something like that, and he just posted the barbecue sizzling. He did something, it was pretty funny, man. It was a good post. But then I'm pretty sure he may have deleted it after the fact. But yeah, it was a stressful time for Lays, man, for sure. And it was definitely an unwarranted and, poorly researched piece on what Australian hip-hop culture is, or was at that point, was at that specific point, isolating a song from, 2001, that's about beers and barbecues, and they're in Foster's singlets and VB singlets. I mean, come on, man, it's kids getting drunk, dude, around a barbecue. It's people establishing an identity here in this country, that's all it is, things have to grow out of something, so that's kind of how I saw it.
The lesson. 927. Oh, yeah.